Long before smartphones or nations as we know them, a handful of civilizations invented the building blocks of everything we call civilized: writing, law, cities, math, and religion. In this video, we're journeying from the muddy rivers of Mesopotamia to the misty peaks of the Andes, covering 10 foundational societies. For each one, we'll break down what they invented, how they rose to power, and the real reasons behind their eventual fall. Let's start where recorded history itself begins. Mesopotamia sprang up between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in what's now Iraq, and it's often called the cradle of civilization. Around 3500 BCE, the Sumerians built the world's first cities like Uruk and invented cuneiform, the earliest known writing system, pressed into clay tablets with a reed stylus. They also gave us the wheel, the 60-second minute, and one of the first law codes, later famously expanded by King Hammurabi of Babylon. Because the land lacked natural barriers, Mesopotamia was constantly conquered and rebuilt by Sumerians, Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians in turn. It finally faded when the Persian Empire swallowed it up in 539 BCE. But its writing, math, and legal ideas never really disappeared. Ancient Egypt flourished for almost 3,000 years along the Nile River, whose predictable floods made the desert incredibly fertile. Egyptians believed their pharaoh was a living god who kept order, or Ma'at, and they built massive pyramids like the Great Pyramid of Giza as eternal tombs to help him journey into the afterlife. They developed hieroglyphic writing, sophisticated medicine, and mummification, a process of preserving the dead so the soul could recognize its body in the next world. Egypt's stability came from its geography, since deserts and seas protected it from invasion for centuries. Eventually, a mix of internal decline, foreign invasions, and shifting trade routes weakened the kingdom, and it became a Roman province in 30 BCE after Cleopatra's death. Even today, its pyramids and hieroglyphics remain some of the most recognizable symbols of the ancient world. The Indus Valley Civilization thrived around 2600 BCE in what's now Pakistan and northwest India, centered on cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa. What's amazing is how organized these cities were. They had grid-patterned streets, standardized bricks, and even covered drains and private bathrooms, which was incredibly advanced plumbing for the time. They traded widely, using tiny carved seals stamped with animals and a script that archaeologists still haven't been able to translate. So we know surprisingly little about their kings, religion, or wars. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, there's no evidence of grand palaces or violent conquests, suggesting a more decentralized, trade-focused society. Around 1900 BCE, the civilization mysteriously declined, possibly due to shifting river courses, climate change, or the drying up of the Sarasvati River. Because we can't read their writing, the Indus Valley remains one of history's great archaeological puzzles. Ancient China grew up along the Yellow and Yangtze rivers. And unlike most ancient civilizations, it never really vanished. It just kept transforming through a long chain of dynasties. It started with the Shang dynasty around 1600 BCE, famous for bronze work and early writing on oracle bones, followed by the Zhou, who introduced the idea that heaven grants an emperor the right to rule, called the Mandate of Heaven. The first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, unified China in 221 BCE, standardized writing and currency, began the Great Wall, and was buried with an army of thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers to protect him in the afterlife. Chinese inventors gave the world paper, silk, gunpowder, and the compass long before these ideas reached Europe. Dynasties rose and fell for thousands of years afterward, often collapsing from corruption, peasant rebellions, or invasion, only to be replaced by a new dynasty that carried the civilization forward. That continuity is what makes ancient China unique. It's less a single lost civilization and more an unbreakable cultural thread stretching into the present day. Ancient Greece wasn't one unified country, but a patchwork of independent city-states like Athens and Sparta, each with its own government and army, yet sharing a language, gods, and culture. Athens pioneered democracy, letting citizens vote directly on laws, while thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle laid the foundations of Western philosophy, math, and science. The Greeks gave us the Olympic Games, theater as we know it, and epic stories like Homer's, all while worshipping gods such as Zeus and Athena on mountaintops like Olympus. Constant rivalry between city-states, especially the devastating Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta, left Greece weakened and divided. In the 300s BCE, Alexander the Great swept out of Macedon and conquered a huge empire stretching to India, spreading Greek culture, called Hellenism, across the ancient world. Greece was eventually absorbed by Rome, but Roman culture borrowed so heavily from Greek art, philosophy, and gods that in many ways Greek ideas simply lived on under a new name. The Persian Empire, founded by Cyrus the Great around 550 BCE, became the largest empire the world had yet seen, stretching from Egypt to India. Unlike many conquerors, Cyrus was known for relative tolerance, letting conquered peoples keep their own religions, languages, and customs, as long as they paid taxes and stayed loyal. The Persians built an incredible infrastructure network, including the Royal Road for fast communication, and a postal relay system that some historians consider an ancestor of the modern mail service. They organized their vast territory into provinces called satrapies, each run by a governor, which became a model copied by later empires. Persia's rivalry with Greece is legendary, including the famous battles of Marathon and Thermopylae, where outnumbered Greek forces held off massive Persian armies. Eventually, in 331 BCE, Alexander the Great defeated the last Persian king, Darius III, and folded the empire into his own conquests. Though Persian culture and administrative ideas influenced empires for centuries afterward. Rome began as a small city on the Tiber River in Italy, and grew from a monarchy into a republic run by elected officials, before ultimately becoming an empire ruled by emperors after Julius Caesar's rise and Augustus's reign. At its height, Rome controlled the entire Mediterranean world, connected by an incredible network of roads, aqueducts that carried fresh water for miles, and a legal system that still shapes modern law today. Roman engineering gave us concrete domes like the Pantheon, massive arenas like the Colosseum for gladiator games, and a professional army that was the most disciplined fighting force of its era. Rome also spread Latin, which evolved into today's Romance languages like Spanish, French, and Italian, and later adopted Christianity as its official religion under Constantine. The empire eventually grew too large to manage, splitting into eastern and western halves, and the western half collapsed in 476 CE under pressure from economic troubles, political corruption, and invading groups like the Visigoths. The eastern half, known as the Byzantine Empire, actually carried the Roman legacy on for another 1,000 years. The Maya civilization flourished across what's now southern Mexico, Guatemala, and Belize, reaching its peak between roughly 250 and 900 CE. Rather than one single empire, the Maya were organized into competing city-states like Tikal and Calakmul, each ruled by its own king, sometimes allying and sometimes warring with each other. They were incredible astronomers and mathematicians, tracking the movements of Venus with stunning accuracy, inventing the concept of zero independently, and creating an intricate calendar system, which is where the myth of a 2012 end-of-the-world prophecy actually comes from, though that's a modern misreading. The Maya also built towering stone pyramids and temples, developed one of the only fully developed writing systems in the pre-Columbian Americas, and played a ritual ball game with religious significance. Around 900 CE, many great southern cities were abruptly abandoned, likely from a combination of prolonged drought, overpopulation, warfare, and environmental strain on their farmland. Importantly, the Maya never actually disappeared, since millions of their descendants still live in the region and speak Mayan languages today. The Aztecs rose to power in central Mexico in the 1300s, building their capital city, Tenochtitlan, on an island in the middle of Lake Texcoco, connected to the mainland by causeways and crisscrossed with canals, like a kind of ancient Venice. According to their own legend, they settled there after seeing an eagle perched on a cactus eating a snake, a sign from their gods, and that exact image is on the Mexican flag today. Rather than directly ruling conquered peoples, the Aztecs built a tribute empire, letting local rulers stay in charge as long as they regularly paid goods and labor to the Aztec capital. They were skilled engineers, building floating gardens called chinampas to grow food for a huge population, and Tenochtitlan may have housed over 200,000 people, making it larger than most European cities of its time. Religion was central to Aztec life, including a belief that the sun god needed regular offerings, sometimes human sacrifice, to keep the world from ending. In 1521, the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés, aided by rival tribes and devastating European diseases like smallpox, conquered Tenochtitlan and brought the empire down within just 2 years of first contact. The Inca Empire rose in the Andes Mountains of South America in the 1400s, ruling from their capital Cuzco and eventually stretching over 2,500 miles along the Pacific coast, making it the largest empire in the pre-Columbian Americas. What's remarkable is they achieved this without wheeled vehicles, iron tools, or even a writing system, instead using an intricate network of knotted strings called quipu to record numbers and information. Inca engineers built over 24,000 miles of roads through brutal mountain terrain, connected by rope suspension bridges, and used a relay system of runners to carry messages incredibly fast across the empire. They were masters of terrace farming, carving giant stepped fields into steep mountainsides to grow crops like potatoes and corn at high altitudes. And their stonework, seen in famous cities like the mountaintop citadel Machu Picchu, was so precise the stones fit together without any mortar. The empire was highly centralized around a semi-divine emperor called the Sapa Inca, who was believed to be descended from the sun god Inti. In 1532, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro exploited a civil war between two rival Inca brothers, and with superior weapons and disease already ravaging the population, captured the emperor Atahualpa and conquered the empire within just a few years. From clay tablets in Mesopotamia to stone citadels in the Andes, these 10 civilizations show that every empire eventually rises, adapts, and falls, but their inventions, ideas, and stories keep shaping our world today. If you enjoyed this journey through history's foundations, hit subscribe for more deep dives into the ancient world.